Taking a book series that millions of people love and turning it into a movie, that is a massive undertaking. It's never just about copying what's on the page. It's more like an act of translation. You're taking this incredible world that we've all built in our imaginations and giving it a definitive shape, a sound, a feel. So when it came to the Harry Potter films, just how much did they really change the spell?
I mean, this is the ultimate question for any fan, right? Did the movies get it right? Were they faithful to the magic we all fell in love with? Or did they kind of just rewrite it? Look, we all have our feelings about it for sure. But when you start to look at the objective changes, well, that's where it gets really fascinating.
And trust me, the changes were significant. But here's the thing you gotta remember. These weren't random edits or mistakes. No way. These were deliberate, creative choices made to solve the very real challenges of telling this huge story on screen. So, let's break down exactly what they changed and, more importantly, why.
All right, first things first, the biggest challenge right out of the gate was how do you show magic? In a book, a simple description is all you need. Our imagination does all the heavy lifting. But on a movie screen, you have to create a whole visual language, one that the audience can understand instantly.
In this change, it was absolutely fundamental. In the books, spells are often just described as flashes of light. Simple. But the movies created an entire visual system. Think about it. The bright red beam of a stunning spell. That terrifying sickly green of the killing curse. That entire color coding system is a pure movie invention, and it was designed so you'd immediately recognize what's happening in a fast, chaotic duel.
And this visual system went deep. Those shimmering, visible shield charms, that's a movie thing. Magical objects that conveniently glow or pulse to let you know they're important, also a movie thing. And, maybe the most iconic one of all, Death Eaters turning into those menacing clouds of black smoke to fly around. A complete cinematic invention to make them way more visually terrifying. In the books, they just apparate.
Let's look at another one, the Pensieve. In the books, it's described as this really ethereal, mysterious object. The memories inside are like a silvery liquid fog, something you just gaze into. It's very subtle, very magical.
But for the screen, they needed something a little more obvious. So they transformed memories into these high-contrast, almost black and white, swirling, glassy flashbacks. It's a brilliant visual cue. The second you see it, your brain just knows, okay, we're watching a memory now. It gets rid of any confusion, and let's be honest, it just looks incredibly cool.
Now these visual changes, they almost always served a bigger purpose. These choices weren't just about making things look magical. They were about making the story more dramatic and seriously heightening the tension for us in the audience.
Just take the climax of the very first film. The book describes Voldemort's face on the back of Quirrell's head as pale and snake-like. Creepy, sure. But the movie? Whoa. They turned it into this horrifying, scorched, red-eyed monster that literally burns Quirrell to ash. That single choice set a much darker, almost horror-like tone for the entire rest of the film series, right from the jump.
Here's another key cinematic invention, making the Horcruxes physically decay. See, in the books, they don't really change when they're destroyed, but the filmmakers gave us a tangible way to track the progress. We get to see the diary bleed ink, the ring crack apart, the locket shatter into a million pieces. It's a visual representation of Voldemort's soul weakening, and it gives each little victory a much more satisfying punch.
Okay, now for a big one, the battle at the Ministry of Magic. You're picturing it, right? Rows and rows of those iconic glowing prophecy orbs. Well, in the book's version of that fight, guess how many glowing orbs there are? 0. Not a single one.
So why invent this single crucial prop? It's pure movie-making logic. It gives the heroes a very clear, tangible goal: protect the orb. And its dramatic, slow-motion shattering gives the whole battle a perfect cinematic turning point. It just works for film.
The books are famous for sticking very rigidly to Harry's point of view. If Harry doesn't see it, we don't see it. But a movie just can't work that way. So they expanded his scar connection into these full-on mind visions. This allowed us, the audience, to see crucial events happening miles away, like the attack on Arthur Weasley. It was a really clever narrative tool to show us exactly what we needed to know.
So, beyond all the magic and plot points, the films also had to adapt the characters themselves. When you don't have access to their internal thoughts, relationships have to be shown very explicitly through action and dialogue. And maybe no character illustrates this more than Ginny Weasley. Book Ginny is described as bold, fiery, and incredibly funny, a real force of nature. The movie version, though, is much more quiet, shy, and solemn.
Because of that pretty big personality shift, their romance had to be completely rewritten, which led to movie-only scenes like the infamous shoelace-tying moment.
It was the same story for Ron and Hermione. Their slow-burn romance in the books is built on years of subtle hints and internal feelings. For the screen, that tension had to be external, so the films added earlier, much more obvious scenes of jealousy and bickering to make absolutely sure the audience was tracking their developing relationship.
And then you've got Neville Longbottom. As you can see here, his role was seriously expanded in the films, long before his big moment in the final book. He was given more heroic speeches, more screen time, and part of that was simply because the actor Matthew Lewis brought so much heart to the role that the filmmakers just wanted to feature him more and more.
And that brings us to what might be the biggest change of all, the final confrontation between Harry and Voldemort. The filmmakers took the book's climax and completely reimagined it for a purely cinematic showdown.
The difference here is pretty stark. In the movie, they fly all through the castle fighting this spectacular, lonely duel. In the book, the confrontation is mostly verbal, and it happens in front of everybody in the Great Hall. In the movie, Voldemort disintegrates into ash. In the book, he just dies. He falls to the floor like any other man, which was the entire point. The movie absolutely prioritized a visual spectacle over the book's quieter, more thematic conclusion.
And that really sums it all up, doesn't it? None of these changes were mistakes or oversights. They were deliberate, intelligent choices made by filmmakers who were trying to translate the feeling of reading Harry Potter into the unique and powerful language of cinema.
So, when you think of Harry Potter, what do you see? A simple flash of light, or a bright red beam? A quiet conversation in the Great Hall, or an epic duel across the entire castle? There's really no right answer, but it makes you wonder, which version is the one that truly lives in your head?